Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining this month's Tech Talk session. I am Joe Rafanelli, Director of Technical Solutions here at Macrosoft. I am with my colleague, Imran Salahuddin. He is my technical colleague. What we're going to be discussing today, actually, let me tell you a little bit about Macrosoft. Macrosoft, we are the experts in migration services. We migrate old platforms to new. We've been doing it for over 20 years, and we are definitely the experts of it. Um, Today, what we're going to be discussing is our survey results. 2025, the state of VFP. Some interesting results came from the survey. We've truncated it to make it as interesting as possible. The survey was sent out end of March, and about 120 respondents. So we got a decent amount of folks that responded, and we sent out a report on May 29th. So we're going to start showing some slides here. All right, so this is the state of Visual Fox Pro. So it's basically going to be an overview of the 2025 survey, right? It's going to show trends, risks, which are very important, and modernization triggers, and then why it really is becoming a critical topic in 2025 to migrate as VFP is getting super old. So with no further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to read out the questions. Okay, so we're going to start with how many years have you been using your VFP application, right? And we have 5 years or less, 6 to 10 years, 11 to 20 years, 21 years or more. So when we did the analysis, what screamed at us was many applications are more than 21 years old. It actually doubled from 2023 to 2025. So that's really a red flag, as we see it. So many systems are now long-term legacy, right? Increasing technical debt and risks. So the age of these systems underscores the urgency to modernize, right? To avoid to be, obsolete. You don't want that. And then also you're going to have supporting issues. So to mitigate risks, we definitely recommend to make that next move. I'm going to let Imran talk a little bit about his technical perception on this slide. So go ahead, Imran.
Hello, everyone. So, the survey result also confirms that no new development is happening in the Visual Fox Pro because of course, the many reasons. Once it's very legacy. The, the the development that's being happening here is by the developers who know the VFP, and they are creating some small modules or small enhancements. Survey also shows that okay, the most of the applications are 6 to 10 years old, recently developed applications, and since they are recently developed, they have to use it for some certain time period. We see a drop in the applications which are 21 or old ages, right? So 21 plus year old applications, they are dropping down because they are being migrated. The companies which have the bigger applications, enterprise level applications, they cannot afford with the existing risks to the VFP, so they are migrating it, and we are seeing that bar is going down. Other thing is the resources that are maintaining those VFP applications, they are also decreasing because of the age factor and other things. So their development is also decreasing. So no new modules, no new applications are being developed, and no new modules are being developed. It's also sort of new reports, some enhancements are going on only. So the survey exactly confirms that what we think. Yes, Joe.
Absolutely. We can't stop. You can't stop time, right? So technology gets old, and at some point, people have to make they have to make a decision on what the next platform they're going to move to. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So our question was, when was your application last updated? Respondents are a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, more than a year ago, or never. So what we've seen here is about 31% have never, haven't been updated in over a year. So that right there tells you they're very stagnant. So lack of updates is obviously a red flag, right? The systems are prime candidates for that next level of a migration. So lack of updates we feel is a serious concern because if you think about regular business growth, there's always updates. So keeping the system stagnant typically is not good for growth or performance. Organizations really, I mean, organizations that we deal with, they all want to go for for long-term success. And if you got an application that's stagnant, it typically stifles the growth, and we do see that quite a lot. Imran, you go. What do you say? What's your perspective on that?
So the update frequency of the VFP applications is closely mirrors their age. The applications developed recently, like 5 to 10 years, only these are being updated. The applications that were developed like long ago, 21 plus years ago, there is very less update to that. And the two major reasons: once they are perfect applications, there is no new things are required to make any changes to it. Okay, and the second thing is the, of course, the available VFP developers. I mean, if there are no resources, they will not make frequent changes to it. Another thing is the strategic decision. Don't invest on this same application. Don't add any new modules. Just keep it working until the decision is made to migrate it. That's actually it is also we can see in this survey result as well. And mainly the people who responded about they are actively working on the VFP, so they are updating it. But the main applications they are maintaining, they are not updating it. We see the client applications, the VFP applications that are that they did not update for last many years. They don't even know about it, like 5 6 8 years ago the last update went, and the application is running perfectly fine in the production environment. So we see the applications that were developed long ago, they are working in production, they are working fine, no updates are required to that. The applications which are newly developed, yes, there are some updates being happening to them. Yes, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. And then sometimes what'll happen is when we finally do see a demo, you can see that a bunch of things are broken that needed attention, and simply you don't want that happening, for your growing business. Okay, thanks, Imran. Let's move on. All right. So next question that we asked is, do you think that risks may occur due to lack of maintenance update in your VFP application? So this was pretty eye-opening, right? Lots of folks see, you know, a risk, right? So it's either yes or no, I don't, right? So 84% acknowledge risks from lack of maintenance or updates in 2025, and it's continuation from previous years. You see that big orange line there. Growing industry awareness of these risks is driving migration discussions. That's why basically we're getting these calls to migrate. Then it basically highlights the need, right, to be proactive, right? Planning the migration, and can definitely decrease your security threats. And I guess when you plan, you plan to succeed. So that is our takeaway here. A lot of folks agree that there is definitely risk in staying with your current application. Imran, I'll give you a minute to talk about this one as well. Go ahead.
Yes, the survey result clearly shows that people are well aware of the risks, right? If they are using the VFP application, they are at risk. Very less people, says that they don't know the risk because maybe the application is not crucial to their business, or the application is planned to be retired very soon. So, but the applications that the business relies on are the core business applications, they are at the risk and people are well aware of it. And there are all kind of risks that we will discuss in the other question as well. But the main risk that I'm seeing is the lack of the developers availability. Less people who can work on the VFP are available. So this is a big threat and this risk basically. So whenever something broke or some critical um, change is required in the business world, something, there is no developer available. So that's a big risk there for the maintaining of the application. Another thing that, of course, people are thinking these days, the security threats are increasing every day. There is a new kind of security threat is there, and the legacy applications they are not dealing well with those security threats. So this is another risk. And apart from that, the businesses are missing their opportunities to enhance and provide more value to their end users. So these are all the risks that are associated with the VFP, and people are well aware of it. Yes, Joe.
Yeah, you made me think about, there's not a lot of new graduates with VFP skills, right? That's definitely a skill that's sort of going away over the years. So you made a nice point there. I appreciate that. Okay, let's go to the next question that we asked the folks. And then we have here, still talking about risks, but rate the potential risks your legacy application, VFP application, may face. And we asked respondents incompatibility with operating systems, system breaking for users, unsupported platform, right, and security systems. So you see a lot of these lines here, right? So growing awareness, right, of operating systems not being compatible. You know what I mean? Because as things change, things get harder and harder to integrate. From an old application, about 60% see some high risks for operating capacity and incompatibility. System stability, platform support, and security are also some major concerns. 84% acknowledge risk from lack of maintenance. Right. So again, these are some of the reasons that we see, all the time. So this slide does not surprise me at all. So risks are always a factor, obviously, when you're talking about business and business growth. Okay, Imran, go ahead. You can let's hear your perspective on this slide.
These are some of the risks that we think that are more important for any legacy application like VFP. You see the incompatibility with the operating system. This is one of the thing. Windows 11 is there everywhere, and Visual Fox is a 32-bit application. So yes, the high risk is there, but you see that some risk and the high risk, and this changed over the years because most of the clients already moved their applications to Windows 11. So it was high risk in the beginning, but it's lowering down. But it's still it is a risk because when we see the other risks associated, it becomes a risk. For example, the support for the VFP. There is no support available. No new service packs are coming for the VFP to deal with the new threats, right? Or go or align the applications with the operating system security and the features. So this is again, the risk which is there, and which it will be there until the application is in the live in the production environment. Um, yes, some people think that okay, there are low risks or maybe no risks, right? And it is based on the application criticality. If it is not the mission critical application or the core business application, yes, there is very less risk, right? Let's suppose only 5 or 10 people are using that application, it is a low risk. But if the application handles a lot of data and the business runs on that application, there is a big risk. All those risks are there. System breaking for the users, if there are more users available and the database is building up as well, and if operating system has some conflicts with it, yes, the chances of the system breaking is there. So we see, I mean, it is aligned, and the people are well aware that they are using the legacy VFP application with these risks. Yes, Joe.
As I'm looking at this slide, we just had a call yesterday with a logistics company, and their main reason, security vulnerabilities. So I just remembered that. So yeah, all of this makes sense, as far as what the risks that could be associated with staying with the current operating system. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. So what concerns, this is actually a new question that we put in here. So what concerns do you have about using generative AI in VFP migrations? Interesting question, right? Because AI is very big, obviously, these days. And my guess is if we ask the same question next year, it might be a different answer. But some code quality, we ask about. We said, using, and we asked domain knowledge, security vulnerabilities, not sure. Then not sure of any converted licensing. So we put a bunch of questions through here, but it's the organizations. The way we deciphered this is at this point right now, humans want to deal with humans, right? So organizations believe only humans can truly interpret legacy business logic and accurate migration. There's some concerns about, code reliability and quality, uh, versus modernization versus porting, legal and compliance risks. So everybody's like a little bit, although again, AI is a very hot topic, with the world right now, right? Everybody knows, and it's here to stay. But right now, it looks like folks aren't exactly giving it a two thumbs up at this point. Like I was saying before, my guess is next year, a little bit more time, this might change a bit. Imran, what's your perspective?
So artificial intelligence is doing great role everywhere. It is playing very effective role, in, especially in the software development. Things become very easy. Still, in the migration side, we started using it, but it's not again the magic button is not there yet. Yes, the biggest concern to the people, to the clients, always is how we understand the business rules. No talk. Usually, there are no technical documentation available. There are SMEs available, but the SMEs are basically the master users at the end who understand the business rule. But what exactly is written in the business rule, sometimes they just don't know about it. And the application is in the use for last many years, so they understand it, but they cannot write those things down. So always it is a concern, even if you are reading the code and migrating it manually, that how you will understand 100% business rules. And with the AI, because AI always comes with, of course, the best knowledge that it get from the code, but it also applies other knowledge as well. So there's always a risk factor that not human is reading the code, machine is reading the code. It will translate the business rules correctly or not. Yes, this is the valid concern available, but we are seeing that AI is doing a very good job in that area. It basically saves a lot of time so that you can verify the business rules afterwards, and still complete the project quickly. And the other thing is the code quality, because legacy application is written with certain techniques. Not necessarily the same techniques are required today. Today we can see a more modern technique with the .NET C Sharp, that okay, how you write the code more efficiently. And if the AI model is translating the code line by line, there will be a problem. And sometimes the AI might not find the effective way in that particular scenario, and it will write the code that the developer will rely on and continue with it. So yes, this is a concern. What we do is do not completely depend on the AI generated code. Yes, we do read it, we understand it, and we see how we can effectively modify the code to provide the better functionality to the end user when we are doing the migration. So yes, we also see that domain knowledge is always the biggest concern, as the survey also showing us. Yes, Joe.
Yes, well said. I know we have our code auto too that we also use as a helper for our, for our developers. So we're also jumping in with 2 feet in with the generative AI. Well said, Imran. Thank you so much. Let's move on. So the next question that we had respondents was, what is your biggest impediment to modernizing a new platform? We got time to do it. Change does not result in revenue. Not knowing, what to do, right? System performance, lack of budget, lack of time, right? These are all sort of the impediments. I don't want to call them excuses. But these are the impediments that we normally see when folks contact us and they said that why they didn't, why they wanted to move on from it. So what I want to say here is incomplete documentation, uncertainty about technology choices, and unclear requirements are the main barriers that we're seeing in this survey. Um, Little surprisingly, time and costs, are there, right? But it's less critical than the knowledge gaps. So we find that a little bit interesting, right? And then addressing these barriers is essential for successful migration planning. And really, folks, that's what we do. Like we address these concerns, and we make sure folks are comfortable, with the way, making sure they're comfortable with the way forward and how we can help, solidify, a good, solid, successful migration. Imran, go ahead and give us your perception of this slide.
So the options that we gave to the people did the survey. There are, the main concerns, and we are showing there can be a lot more concerns as well. But of course, the biggest, there are two things. I mean, two part of this picture. One I would say is the technical, and one is from the business perspective. These are mainly the technical one. Okay, we don't have the documentation available. Can we migrate the same business rules to the new application or not? Right? That is one of the impediments. Okay, there is no technical documentation. We cannot write the requirements. We cannot migrate it. Okay. Another thing is this is I would say the technical one, right? Other one is, to me, is the more bigger challenge is making a decision. Yeah, this is the time to migrate. We just no more can live with the legacy application. Business thinks differently. Some application developed 2 decades ago, it's working perfectly, it is giving the purpose, all those things are there. So why invest on migrating this application? Of course, it will cost money. It will invest, it will require time, it will require resources, and the risks are there. The project will be successful or not. Everything will work in the new application exactly or not. Will the end users adopt this thing or not? Yeah, so these all are the main concerns, and this survey is giving us the pulse of the users and the clients, that how they are thinking. At Microsoft, we face all these questions, and we provide our clients the answers to these questions. And the main question is, as I mentioned to you, when to migrate. Right now, it is the time to migrate. There are too much risk, too much concern. Technical concerns are there. Continuing a VFP legacy application. Second thing, how we translate those business rule and the thing. So this is where we are master at, basically, to understand the VFP application, read the code and migrate it. So we provide the answers and the solutions of all these problems that are mentioned here. Yes, sure.
All right, so we wouldn't just migrate. We do make those suggestions and give the best way forward, for the particular business. So okay, so let's move on. Thank you, Imran. Let's move on to the next survey question. Okay, so what would cause you to begin a migration modernization? So we got security risks, enhancements needed, which we do see that a lot. Client requirements, clients are pushing folks to modernize, or companies to modernize, ensure long-term viability. And we have a couple that are, that are not sure. So we see right here, about 60% want for new features. So the need for new features, about 60%. Security risks and client requirements are the top triggers. That comes as no surprise, right? As an application gets older and older, there's going to be features in there that folks want and you simply don't have. So that makes perfect sense. Security risks. There's a lot of bad apples out there. Folks are getting folks to they're hacking into systems, so you definitely want that to be more secure. Um, and then clients are the biggest driver, right? Clients um, make us clients push for growth, and clients want the most updated applications. They want scalability, and they want performance, right? So you get that client push, and doing a migration, making that migration decision becomes the no-brainer, right? So that's how we sort of see this. That's how I sort of see this slide. Imran, go ahead and go ahead and give your perspective.
Right. So the security risk, enhancement needed, client requirement, long-term viability. These are the main concerns whenever the client contact us. There are two types of applications that are in use. One is for the organization internal use. All the end users are in-house, and there are the applications that clients are using. You install that applications to client, like 500, 600, 1000, 3000 clients are using in their environment. Of course, the business grows in the modern world. You can provide more features to your application and more features to your end users, and it is an everyday thing, right? New reports are required to be developed, new integrations are required, workflows are being changed, there is no new data elements that we need to capture. all these things are the enhancements or the client requirements. But again, you are working on the legacy application, you need to make a decision. Either we enhance this application, add the new features to this application, or just don't do it, or migrate it and provide the new features to the in the new application, which will be more viable for the company, and we can support this application longer with all those things. But right now, yes, this is very common factor that okay, we need to add some feature, but we cannot do it because of lack of availability of the developers, or the decision is not there to enhance this application. Yes, these are the exactly. Yeah, and security risk also there. But again, the thing is, the application is working, internal environment working perfectly. So security risk, it comes when something happened. Normally, 90% of the case, the client come to us when something happened. Otherwise, they keep working with the legacy application and living with those security risks. Yes, Joe.
I want to underscore real quickly, enhancements needed definitely is resonating with me. We do get a lot of folks that come with us. They don't just want to like, they want to also do enhancements. So what we typically do is do those enhancements at the end. This way it's better for UAT or user acceptance testing. But we also, depending on if we know them or not, you'd be able to, get those enhancements in as you're doing the migration. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. Next slide. What would cause you to begin a migration? We got to go to the next slide, please. All right, so the next one, what would the next? We'll get the slides going. This is the old slide. Okay, what would cause you to what would you do with your current old system data if you were to move to a new platform? So we see here nearly half of the respondents want legacy data migrated to the new system. Makes sense, right? Then selective migration, recent and relevant data is rising, right? And then while archiving is declining, right? Data migration is a strategy, right? It's critical component of any modernization. So we got to make sure that's happening. And then the question is, what do you keep, right? Old to new versus selective migration. It really just depends on the business. Depends on what the requirements are. Um, Definitely a key part of the migration is the data migration. There must be a tailored strategy to move forward with the appropriate approach for your business. Imran, can you hear me, and can you give me your perspective on this one? I don't think you can hear me. Okay, I think we're having some internet issues here. All right, let's move on to the next slide, please. And I think he's having some internet issues. Sorry about that, folks. So the next slide is, are you interested in retaining your VFP application but substituting your VFP database? So we don't see this that often, but most organizations see value in updating, just the back end by retaining the front end. What's happening there is, you got your users that are used to a certain way of doing business, and they tend to want to keep doing that. So it's a matter of convincing the operations folks to make that next step, right? A lot of times when you do a migration, it's when it's like to like, it's basically the same application, very limited um, training, and it's just sometimes it's a little bit hard to convince folks of that fact. So we see that kind of all the time as well. Delivering business drivers are security, compliance, scalability, and integration. Um, However, over 40% we saw still hesitate, indicating a need for education on risks, and benefits. So again, we don't see this one too often. Typically, when we do a migration, it's front end, back end. But there is a little bit of a trend here, just updating that database. And Imran, I don't know if you can hear me now, but I'll
Yes,
move on.
I
You
can
can hear
hear
me now.
you,
So
Joe.
we're on.
Can you
Yeah.
hear
Okay.
me?
So yeah.
Okay.
So go. We're looking at the current question there. What's your perspective on that one?
Right. Um, yes, so the VFP applications are two um, two different things basically. One is the application itself, which has the screens, forms, reports, and the other is the database, the VFP database. So VFP works with both very seamlessly because it comes with the same environment, right? The database and the program, and it uses the VFP database very seamlessly. And that was the beauty of the VFP event, and this is one of the reason it was very popular in that old age. Um, People or the client think that okay, it's better not to migrate the whole application right now, better to migrate the database because of two things. One is the security thing, one is the maintenance thing, and the third thing is the VFP comes with some database limitation as well, like 2 gigabytes thing. And if it is reaching there, you need to change in the program to accommodate that limit thing. So we often receive client asking us that we can can we change the database to the application, and the solution is basically yes, we can change it to a modern database like SQL Server, right? But it also requires modification in the VFP code itself so that it can start using the SQL Server database. Of course, this required modification to the whole application wherever it is talking to the database, and then the testing of the whole application is required as well. We need to make sure that the application is working correctly or not. Yes, so people are interested in migrating the database only, but there are they want it, but when they understand that what effort is required and what the risks are required, they usually change their mind, not to change the database now, and rather go for complete migration end to end. Yes, Julie.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's kind of what I was saying as well. We see it, but we don't see it that often. Typically, the whole migration is what people want. Okay, let's go to the next one. Only a couple more slides left. Okay, so now we got a question. What would be the ideal target platform for the application? We had respondents for the following: Microsoft.NET browser based. We got .NET desktop. We got lift and shift, and then commercial off the shelf. Right. So those are the three respondents. Um, .NET, right? Desktop are the two that we basically look at all the time. Both are the dominant ones as far as where they want to go to. What we typically see, though, if it's an application that's internal, folks tend to go desktop. If it's an external, they tend to go .NET. So, and that kind of underscores what you're seeing here in the survey. So, shift toward browser and cloud solutions reflect evolving need for mobility and scalability. Right. Obviously, if you're in .NET browser base, it's very mobile. And then Java and commercial off-the-shelf products are less favored, and we've seen that before because we'll also ask a lot of times, can this be done, off the shelf? And a lot of folks say, well, maybe, but it doesn't have all the features. That's why folks typically say, you know what, let's just migrate it because I'll have all my features, and all the features will be basically in the same spot, that their users know, and they'll be able to continue their business while still growing it. So that's what we kind of see pretty much all the time. Imran, go ahead and give us your perspective. Thank you.
Yes, as the survey shows that the most of the people like to go Microsoft, and the very reason is basically they are working on the Visual Fox Pro, which is also the Microsoft, and the one they are living in the Microsoft ecosystem, and that's more right choice for them. And the shift will be easy for them from VFP to .NET, right? They're all using the things. Now, when it comes to the question browser based or the desktop based, most of the people want the browser based. It's a very low maintenance, it's easy to install thing. But the desktop based, if the client is asking for the desktop based, they have a application with very busy screens, multiple grids there, which require performance thing.
things come quickly. I mean, you are calculating the things, it's happening. So those are the clients basically with which come with those complex screens. They believe that the web or the browser version cannot provide the similar functionality. But I mean, the browser, the all the new UI frameworks like Angular, React, they are now very modern. They provide the grids, they provide the similar kind of experience like you have in the desktop applications they are providing. So and we also in the responses we also see some Java things, and it is mainly because if the whole organization is going to the Java world, so they want Java in the new application. Lift and shift is also one of the response that you receive, and it is for the applications the client want to run in couple of years only, next couple of years, and then migrated. And the lift and shift is something similar like the VFP application will remain as is, but will be delivered through a browser like AWS and other service. It's sort of a remote desktop kind of a thing. But as basics, the VFP application is not being migrated. It's just the clients will be using it through the browser, and it is a short-term solution. It's not a long-term solution. Yes, commercial off-the-shelf product is one of the thing, but we see it very less because the VFP applications were developed on the requirements, specific requirements for the company or the industry. So not necessarily the off-the-shelf applications are providing the similar features that they have in the legacy application. So that is the reason we see this response very less, that people want to go for a commercial off-the-shelf product rather migrating and developing their application on the new platform. Yes, Joe.
Yes, Imran, well said there. Definitely on the same page with you there. Okay, so our last question for this particular tech talk, what would be, I'm sorry, how has Windows 11 impacted application performance compared to your previous operating systems? Obviously, Windows 11 is the latest. So compatibility with new operating system is definitely a growing concern. We see many legacy VFP applications face performance or stability issues on Windows 11. But you'll see the survey is saying something a little bit different there. And then compatibility gaps as a driver. We definitely see that where things are just not working anymore to support the platforms. So as you go through this, the idea, the Windows 11 seems to have a bit of an impact on folks. But as time goes on, um, it's started, you know, getting a little bit better over time. Performance has been a little bit better, about 37% performance has been a little bit better, like I said, over time. So the impact there is not too much. So that was, yeah, that's my perspective. Go ahead, Imran. What do you say about this one?
As survey result shows that the most of the people see no difference in the performance. The performance they were getting in their old system, Windows XP, Windows 10, similar performance they are seeing in the Windows 11. From a technical standpoint, this is expected. Visual Fox Pro is a lightweight desktop-based environment with minimal dependency on an advanced operating system like Windows 11. So we don't see the performance will go down. The performance will keep the same or up. Yes, but there are some other challenges that these legacy application will face, which is like the stability and some compatibility issues, and of course supporting some older components. As I mentioned earlier, the VFP 32-bit application and the Windows 11 comes usually with the 64-bit, and there will be some kind of thing. But right now the VFP applications are working perfectly in Windows 11. Not They cannot get the advantages of the new operating system because there is no modifications being happening in those applications, so those challenges are there. But again, the Windows 11 is supporting the VFP, and still we see that it will keep supporting the new versions. But again, the risk is there. It's better to migrate to a modern platform that will work with the modern operating system very closely and take advantage of all modern features. So I think this is the right time to migrate. If you have a legacy application, think about it, and it is the right time to start planning migration. Thank you. Yes, Joe.
Yes, yeah, makes perfect sense. Okay, we just have one more slide. We have our key takeaways here. We'll update that slide. So, kind of at a crossroads here, folks. Modernize isn't really just about keeping up anymore, right? It's about staying functional and competitive. Competitive as risks grow. So it's really time to take some action here. Business need to start planning basically their migration now and create strategies that fit their specific needs. This will definitely help outdated systems while setting up for safer, more efficient, flexible future. Success comes from acting, as early as you can, planning carefully, making sure technology upgrades align with business goals. Really are the takeaways that we see. Okay, hopefully everybody got something out of those slides. Again, this was just a subset of the questions that we had asked folks. I think there was a question from the audience. Maybe we can share that. Let me see if I can see it.
See the question, I think, coming future of
Oh, you
the
see it? Okay,
future
I
of
don't see
Visual
it.
Fox Pro. Feature of
It-
Visual Fox Pro, Microsoft discontinued Visual Fox Pro. I mean, if we
Yeah,
understand, this is in
2009.
2009, so there are no new
Yeah.
versions of Visual Fox Pro are coming. So the application that exists, so nothing new coming from the Microsoft itself. So the developers who are working on the Visual Fox Pro, if they are seeing any support issues, they are fixing themselves, right? We think that the Visual Fox Pro served its life basically. A lot of applications developed, very nice applications, comprehensive enterprise level applications. But right now, this is the time to move to a modern platform. So we see that all the applications which are currently exist in the VFP, they will be eventually migrated to all the new platforms in next coming years.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a lot of, like I said, we get a lot of calls, a lot of emails about migrating. So folks are starting to get the message that pretty soon it's not going to be working, all that well. Integration is going to get tougher and tougher. So, yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions? I think we're okay. All right. I want to thank Imran so much for his insights there. Like I said before, hopefully everybody got something out of this survey. I know I did. Um, what I want to say at the end here is, if you see my contact information, if something that we didn't cover, or if there are any questions, or if you just want to talk about your migration and get it sized up, please go ahead and contact us. You'll see my contact information there. Once again, I want to thank everybody, for their time. And until next month, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, folks. Take care.
Thank you.